Hey everybody, Jacob Godar, and today we're talking about raising your prices in 2023 in your lawn and landscape business. This is a topic that so many people are concerned about, raising prices. They're afraid they're going to lose clients. They're afraid that they're going to have less work. They're afraid that they're not going to have stuff for their employees to do. Even if they're new in business and maybe they're working all alone, they're afraid they're going to pinch off the amount of work they've got and potentially shut down all new incoming opportunity because people are going to think you're too expensive. Your price is so high, I don't want to use your service anyway, and you get some kind of too expensive as a company stigma or something like that. And that's what we're going to be talking today about, raising prices in 2023. Because if you haven't raised your prices, especially if you didn't raise them into 2022, you're way behind the ball. Cost of business have went up. Cost of fuel has went up. I know this is a fluctuating cost that this can change, but so many things. When inflation is at record highs and we're going up and up and up, when it's already, before all of this happened, 2% every year for inflation, and now we're at 5, 6, 7, 8, all of this increase in price, everything across the board costing more, you have to compensate for this. You cannot get left in the dust by claiming that I want to keep my prices the same. I want to be a this and that of a business owner. The sole purpose of having your business is to turn a profit. That's not a greedy thing. Profit is not greedy. But for you running your business, for it to be successful, there must be a profit. This goes to making your life more livable, better, moving up in the world. And as you grow a team, this goes to giving them more opportunity. Ultimately, that's how I look at it. When I start to get worried about, are the prices getting too high? Should we not raise prices? So on and so forth. I think about my team. And I think about, if I care about my team moving up in the world, if I care about me and my family moving up in the world, if I care about there being new opportunity for everyone, then I can't get hung up on trying to sharpen the pencil or keep the prices low. And so we're going to go over that conversation today. How to adjust? What do we think? Why do we adjust? Try to give it some basis, because numbers are all made up. Your goals, your hourly rates. There are a lot of hypothesizing that may or may not be perfect, but it's to your best guess, your best judgment. So number one, I would look at my previous results. So starting off, I would look at my previous results from 2022. We know costs have raised a lot in 2022. We know there's a lot of change in the market. So I would be looking at what is currently going on. Maybe I've got my first 6 months financials produced. Maybe I've got 3 quarters. Maybe I'm looking at this the very beginning of 2023 and I look at my profit and loss for the whole year of 2022. Now I want to take what I do know about 2022 and I want to compare it to the previous year. So even if maybe we don't have the first 6 months of 2022 that we can look at financially from a profit and loss standpoint, and I want to compare that to 2021. Same 6 months, same time frame. How did we do? What was the revenue like? What was the profitability like? Then I want to look back maybe even at 2020 and see across these what was going on. Is my profit trailing down? Which, if you haven't raised your prices, it is trailing down, because you could not have made more profit with more expense without raising your prices. And that's what you're going to see as you look across these. Even for us, since we raised prices going into 2022, I'm going to look at how profitable we were in 2022. The question becomes, do you have some kind of profit goal? Or are you just hoping you're in the black? When you start your business, maybe you are just hoping you're in the black, but hopefully at some point you're shooting for a target. You have a goal. Ours is lofty. We want to hit 30%. And what I think is very, very cool about that is that number to me means opportunity, events, cool things to train the team, do more things with the team. Like when we hit our numbers this month, we're doing paintball. And then we're talking about his team doing Tough Mudders, doing softball teams, doing all these things. But that's just some base level. I want to go above and beyond. I want to take people to conferences. I want to be investing in the team, trying to better their life and do all these things. And all of that comes from your profit. So when I say the 30% goal, I felt like was a little bit lofty for me. What's good about that is if you set a big goal and you don't quite hit it, you're still kicking ass, because you're a lot farther than people that just set a easily achievable goal. So if my goal is 30%, if I look at last month's results, our numbers are now higher than they've ever been. We're looking at like 25% net profit, maybe 22% net profit. This is the best the numbers have ever been when you average out the two companies. And I think that this is really, really cool because they're moving in the right direction. If I would have set my goal at saying I was at 13% the year before, and then I just set it to 20, my numbers aren't gonna, I'm probably gonna end up landing somewhere between there. But I set loftier ones, so we got a longer runway. So that's more a little bit of goal setting, but I want you to compare your 2022 to the same time in 2021 and look at the erosion of profitability and start seeing, what do you think? Okay, now have some kind of goal. I want you to at least be saying, hey, we should be trying to shoot for 15, 20% profit. At bare minimum, that should be some kind of starting goal till you start to define the things you want to do as a company. And with that, you need to see what needs to change. Because if you look at those first 6 months, now I know if you're in an area where the first 3 months you were shut down because it's winter and you never are profitable anyway, that's how we are in Illinois, maybe that's going to skew these things. So when you look at numbers, you got to be creative when you look at numbers. You got to be able to understand and intuitive about the things that are going on. So we want to do some comparison. We want to see where we are. Basically looking at this year, even if it wasn't the most profitable period, most likely if you didn't change numbers, it's going to be less profitable than it was last year. And so that's just a guiding fork. Then maybe I would go back and look at, okay, well, so as this first 6 months, if I was less profitable in 2022 than I was in my first 6 months of 2021, since I don't have a full set of information, and maybe you do, maybe you're watching this video late enough, but I'm trying to help you even if you don't have everything. I would go and look at now 2021's info. How did I finish at the end of the year? If I finished at 5% net profit, and my first 6 months are down in 2022, well, I can extrapolate that information out, and I know that by the end of 2022, I'm probably going to be lower than I was at the beginning, or than I was in 2021. So these are all things you can put together to start to reassure yourself that my prices must go up. A lot of people just need to be able to see it on the wall that things are trending up or trending down or what direction they're heading. And not enough people have the information they need right in front of them to make the educated call. Do I need to raise my prices? And if you can't make that, then yeah, of course, I feel guilty if I raise my prices, because am I being fair to people? That's fucking stupid. The more I raise my prices and the more at a higher profitability I can sell my services and prices, the better employer I can be to my team, the better things I can offer the community, the better things I can offer to my clients, because I'm not scrounging around for cents. That's what happens when contractors can't finish anything, can't do anything, rush through everything, because there's not enough profit ever to do a good job. So they're always, anytime anything goes wrong, it's a frantic mess, and that's why so many things get walked away from. So there's a lot of reasons to not worry about raising your prices. Just looking and reflecting upon years past numbers and see you trailing down in profit is just wood and fuel on the fire that makes you know you have to raise your prices in 2023. Now next, what I lead into with this is, now I like to think about, what am I building for the team? So I've already mentioned a little bit. I want to be able to go to conferences. I want to be investing in people. I want to be bettering people. I want us to be doing cool things as a team. And a lot of the stuff doesn't directly relate, or you don't think it directly relates to your profit. So you have a hard time justifying it. And then when there's not as much profit, it's even harder to justify. But the culture of your company long term is what ultimately is going to make your team band together and kick ass and produce more as a whole. So what you do, the fun things, the exciting things you do to liven it up or celebrate. Celebrating is huge in a company. That can directly tie to profit, whether you see it now or you don't see it. So we're looking at, what are we building for the company? And this means, and what are we building for the team, more importantly, in the company? We're wanting to build opportunity. That's what I'm shooting for. If I look at my mission statement right here, in the very last line, it says nurtures and facilitates personal and professional growth without limits. So that without limits portion, that's where we try to, another reason to fill up the profit, make ourselves more profitable so we can do more things for the team. We can do more exciting things for the team to give them more opportunity moving forward, to give them more coaching, to give them more training, to invest into them, take them to team events, taking them all these things to make us bigger and better than we were the year before, and ultimately drive a more powerful united force of a team. Now that we've evaluated a couple things, we've evaluated our prices from the past couple years and we saw maybe we're trending down in profitability. We've thought about what are we trying to do for our team and what are some of the reasons behind why we're wanting to increase this profit or at least maintain it so we can keep offering this opportunity to our employees and ideally a growing opportunity to our employees. So finally, after we've gone through that, now it's time to hash out what do we do with raising prices. Should we just do 1%? Should we just do 2%? I think you need to, if you're asking yourself that question and you're trying to sharpen the pencil and do the least amount possible, I think you need to dig deeper into your numbers. That's what's great about GROW Comm. We've got our budget builder in there, and I mean, you can go to jacobgodar.com, you can get the budget builder. That's another great thing about training day, our 2023 training day in January on the 20th. One of the sections is just going to be about knowing your numbers. So you need to know your numbers so you can see where you're at. Is it 2% that's going to fix the problem? That's going to get you back to where you want to be, your target? Or is it much more? If you didn't raise prices into 2022, it's going to be much more. Jim Houston stated, and it's so funny, it was validation. I'm always looking for validation that we're making the right calls and we're doing the right things. I'm looking for the things that validate the decisions we make as we move forward. I think a lot of people are doing this. Doesn't mean I won't do things without validation, but validation in certain sectors is very comforting to know that you're not doing crazy things. Earlier this year, we raised prices 10% across all maintenance in Illinois. Shortly after, Jim Houston stated that if you didn't raise prices 10 to 12%, I believe those were his figures, maybe 10 to 11, sorry Jim if I butchered that, but you would be behind the previous year. That might be, maybe if you haven't raised prices into 2022, you 10, 12% minimum you probably have to raise just to be where you were at 2021. Now the prices have been aggressive and they have raised even more. So it's probably still another 5 to 10% would be my guess. Now I can't even answer this for you, what I truly think, because I haven't done the HIP analysis of our company. And we've aggressively pushed into this year where we have went and continued working on our profitability year round. So when I say HIP analysis, I need to look, we're about to have our meeting, 2023 meeting here in Illinois, where we look at our numbers, we look at what we've done, we look at the costs, and we make those judgment calls about what should we be doing moving forward. I immediately assume that we're going to have a 5% raise, and that's going to be something that we just pretty much have across the board, and then we start to initiate either a 2.5% or a 5% raise yearly just to keep us on pace, because me as a leader, I shot our company in the foot by never doing raises for the first 5 years of business. I always raised the new work, but I didn't raise the old stuff. And year after year after year, we became less and less profitable on that work. And that was me hurting my team, hurting my family, stealing from everybody around me for the sake of the same thing that I've been talking about, because we're too concerned with trying to be what we perceive as fair. We've discussed we need to raise the price. We need to move it in the right direction, which is meaning raise it 2, 3, 5, 10, 15%. What do we do that on? Do we do that on existing work? Do we do that on new work only? Do we do that here and there? This is where you need to take the emotion out of business, and you need to look at stuff. You need to have a CRM in place. You need to be able to cost your stuff. You need to be able to look at the services you're providing and see where you're at. You may be wildly overestimated on some places and they don't need price raises. You may be wildly underestimated on some places and they really need price raises. And so potentially if that's the case, you may be able to raise some and not others. Now, for me, what we did was across the board because our pricing is very, very consistent for all of our maintenance. And if you're just getting started out and you're worried about some of your clients and you don't have a big book of work already, what I always did in that situation was just raise the new people. So if I had 20 lawns that I mowed, I wouldn't worry about those. I'd raise the next 20 that we got, and then I would go and up all of my landscaping, which that can be upped. Tomorrow my prices can be higher and it doesn't reflect on anybody past, it only reflects on the new things I sell. So depending on my situation when I evaluate it, I would most likely do a mix of these things. Obviously landscaping we'd raise right now. If I was newer in business, I may not raise my base. I may just raise new incoming business. And then as you get down the road, what we did, because we had a lot of years under our belt and I wasn't worried about losing any of the initial, I knew that we'd lose some, but very, very little. We just raised all of the maintenance across the board. Now, the cool thing about this, to rehash this for you and to make you, to just give you some reassurances, even if you raise 10 or 15%, you're not going to lose a massive amount of your clients. You're going to lose some. You're going to lose the price sensitive people. Fortunately enough though, that the most price sensitive people are the people who usually want the most, because they're always trying to justify what they spend, so they're always trying to get a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. So raising your prices, even if you lose some people, you're going to shed some of the people that are hardest to work with, and you're also going to lose a few, but the amount you've increased it will more than pay for those people. So now you'll be working less, earning more, having more profit, and being able to pour into your team so you can continue to go out there and grow. And before we wrap this up, we didn't even get into the other things. Easier to buy equipment, better cash flow, all of the things that take stress away from business. So don't sit around in your business and be stressed every year because there's never any money. Because it's your fault if you're doing that. All for the sake of thinking that you need to compete with this company, or you need to compete with that company. You need to set yourself apart. You need to show why you're different. You need to bring 100 times more value so you can charge more than everyone else around you. You need to keep growing and kicking ass and pushing into the future. Leave a comment below. Let me know, are you raising your prices in 2023?